everybody, and welcome back to the MiniDex, where each week we cover 3 different Pokemon that, for whatever reason, might not need an entire episode to themselves. As you know, this show is heavily influenced by audience response, and this week you asked for Phanpy, Snorunt, and Growlithe, so let's get groovin', fam. Obviously Alex wrote this because I would never say that. Phanpy is a cute little ground type who's widely known as the long-nosed Pokemon, probably because he's been charming us with his sweet baby elephant way since all the way back in Gen 2, when it was a silver version exclusive opposite gold version's Teddiursa. Interestingly, both have the ability pick up and both resemble the juvenile version of an extremely dangerous real-world animal. And for some reason, in a first for the series by the way, they also both switched versions in the Heart Gold and Soul Silver remakes. But you know, maybe they were just bored and they wanted a change? Okay, probably not. Phanpy live by the edge of rivers and spend most of their time showering one another with water and mud. They use their large ears to fan themselves dry after their shower fights and then dig out a mud hole to live in and mark the area with their trunks to show that the spot is claimed. This may seem scary and territorial at first, and I guess it totally kind of is, but considering they're just 1.5 feet tall, now I'm just thinking of that cute elephant on the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland, which is a place I've never been to or seen since I'm from the Netherlands. Thanks for thinking of me, Alex. Phanpy use their deft trunks for a number of things, and they are surprisingly strong. In fact, it's supposedly super easy for them to pick up and carry a human on their back. Though, let me be honest with you, strength aside, I don't see how that would ever work given the size difference between the two, but whatever, the point is, they're really strong. In fact, trainers are often warned to be careful since Phanpy love to bump you with their trunks to show affection, and sometimes that can accidentally send you flying. But don't get too mad at poor Phanpy for it, because if they're anything like real elephants, then they're pretty darn smart and they'll really pick up on your anger. See, elephants are one of the most emotionally expressive animals on the planet, and they form intensely deep bonds with their friends. In the wild, they even have social groups and names for each other, and they comfort each other when they're feeling sad. So if you're mad, even if you're just frustrated and you don't really mean it, Phanpy will feel it, man, so take care of that little guy. And anyway, when you raise a Phanpy right, it evolves into Donphan, one of the coolest Pokemon from Gen 2. But we'll probably do a full dex on him someday, so for now, let's jump over to Gen 4 and learn a little more about Snorunt. Snorunt's called the Snow Hat Pokemon. It's an ice type, it can only live in cold climates, and yet it is pretty much always shown shivering. Isn't that weird? Also, another super weird thing. According to reference sheets by legendary Pokemon artist Kensugi Mori, Snorunt itself is actually just the round ball shape underneath the little cloak. Though I guess it would be more accurate to call it a hat based on its species name, even though it's really more of a fusion of a conical snow hat and a traditional straw raincoat from Japan called a Mino. Neither looks super warm though, so maybe that explains the shivering? IDK bro, IDK. It's also important to mention that multiple Pokédex entries say that a Snorunt visiting your home is a good sign your family will prosper, because it's a direct reference to the Zashiki Warashi, also known as Guest Room Child, which is a creepy Japanese spirit that visits the uninhabited rooms of your house to play pranks, though for some reason seeing one is supposed to bring you good luck. But then again, Snorunt also seems to be very inspired by the story of the Yuki Onna and Yukinko, aka the Snow Woman and the Snow Child. First of all, its evolution Frostlass is definitely based on the Yuki Onna, which is a yokai that lures people to their death in the snow. So secondly, we're gonna go ahead and say Snorunt's the Yukinko, which is basically her child which she uses as bait. She wails out in the snow with her poor sickly Yukinko in her arms until somebody comes by to help. She begs them to take the baby over and over forever, and if they finally do, they're instantly frozen and then devoured by both. Yikes. So maybe the shivering is just a ploy? That suddenly makes Snorunt so much less cute. Anyway, if you let your Snorunt grow up and expose it to a Dawnstone, that's how you're gonna get a scary old Frostlass. But if you don't, the alternative is Glalie, which is also based off an ice demon. So as lucky as Snorunt may be, just know you're gonna have a much scarier problem a little further down the line. But now, let's get rid of these weird vibes and move on to the warmest, most loyal little puppy Pokemon ever, Gen 1's Growlithe. Growlithe is a brave pupper who's extremely loyal to its trainer. But you gotta be careful with these things, cause much like Wallace, they will bark ferociously at anything they see as a threat to their human buddies, and, unlike Wallace, they won't even hesitate to bite them. Anyway, Growlithe was also a version exclusive, opposite Vulpix in red and blue respectively, and both doggos appear in the exact same area between Lavender Town and Saffron City and evolve using a Firestone. It also shares a species name with Lillipup and Rockruff, as they're all called the puppy Pokemon, which nerds like me and Kelly like because though all breeds of dogs do look wildly different, they're all still technically the same species, Canis lupus familiaris. Also, though it always growled and always has been very lithe, aka slim, it almost didn't have the name Growlithe at first, which we know thanks to the red and blue version beta where it was called Flamey. And though this does sound like something a 10-year-old would call their dog, it is technically closer to its Japanese name, Guardi, which speaks to its duty as a guardian. This probably has to do with the fact that Growlithe was inspired by Shisa, which are those Japanese dog statues you always see guarding homes and temples in pairs. And you may not have noticed, but one always has its mouth open to drive away bad luck, and the other always has its mouth closed to keep the good luck in. Isn't that cool? Plus, Shisa are almost always depicted as dogs with a few lion or tiger characteristics, which is almost certainly why Growlithe has those very confusing black and orange stripes. Boom! If you want to suggest a Pokemon for next time, leave it in the comments below or check the description for a link to our official Google form. I'm Hildewereld, and this has been another episode of the MiniDex. Click one of these links here for more Pokemon videos chock full of glorious trivia, behind-the-scenes info, and battle strategy. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you right back here next time. Thanks for watching!